Prince of Wales Challenge Cup next. Tideway Scullers School, they've had a really good regatta so far, not just this boat, but the whole of the Tideway Scullers School have had a good regatta against Leander, who we've been talking all about already this morning on semi-finals day. To the right-hand side of your picture, the Leander boat out very well there.
Yeah, nice clean start there. This will be a bit of a grudge match between these two clubs. They've come up against each other quite a bit in these quads.
So good fast start. Leander taking the early initiative. Can they hold on? Tideway Scullers School. Down.
Yeah, we've got here Lawrence Joss in the bow seat. He rode at the Junior World Championships in 2018, Great Britain.
Yeah, we've got lots of youthful experience in the Leander boat as well, and as much as 3 of the athletes were selected for the GB Under-23 team this season. One of them raced at the World Cup 3 for Great Britain, won a bronze medal in the men's double, so good going.
Looking at that, the town 4 from Leander, international experience athletes coming together. This crew from Leander is a similar caliber crew on the men's side.
Well, you've got potential GB stars of the future here, haven't you? John Keating in the bow seat, you can see to the right of the picture at the moment. James Cartwright, Oliver Costley and Victor Kleshner. That's the boat for Leander.
A bit of pedigree in that. Victor Kleshner's father was an Olympic medalist in the Russian quad in Moscow Olympic Games. So there's a bit of history of rowing in that family.
Yeah, and Kleshner was the rower who was in the World Cup 3, the bronze medalist in the men's double.
Here, a bit of steering problems here from the Tideway Scullers crew, going diagonally across, almost going for the bump by the looks of it.
Yeah, they're heading across the water. The umpire, again unmoved, but they've sorted themselves out. Got themselves back on track.
Both really well-drilled quads here, really as you'd expect in a semi-final on a Saturday. Both crews sculling really very nicely.
Yesterday, Leander Club St Andrews struggled with their steering in the first minute or so up at Temple Island. I was watching that race, and in the first minute or so St Andrews struggled before settling into a good pattern, but they weren't able to trouble this better boat of Leander that we can see now today.
Yeah, the Scullers had a slightly harder race yesterday. I mean, looking at the times this morning at the barrier, yesterday Leander were about 4 seconds quicker than the Scullers quad to the marker. You know, sometimes that's a useful marker. I mean, the weather was quite variable yesterday, so you'd have to take it with a bit of pinch of salt, but actually it seems to reflect the difference in standard between these two crews.
I was going to ask about the times, actually, in fast water and slow water. As someone, you watch these things, generally the general consensus this year from the experts is that the water is slower than it was a couple of years ago, and the times would suggest that.
Yeah, I agree. We had a bit of rain over the weekend, so the water had picked up as it comes down from Gloucestershire down the river. So there was a bit of stream earlier in the week, and you could see that some of the crews on the Buckinghamshire station were struggling coming off the island. They're getting blown into the middle of the water because of the stream. But actually now, if we come into the weekend, the stream has died down. There's very little flowing water.
Because there hasn't been rain since the weekend.
Yeah, so it's all flown through. The lanes are really, really competitive. We saw loads of crews rowing through yesterday on the Buckinghamshire station in the headwind. Really, it's quite attritional yesterday, that headwind. It was really hard work for the crews.
And I was once told by an Olympic rower who you and I both know well that the warmer the water is, the faster it is.
That has a huge impact on boat speed, because the viscosity is less when it's hotter.
Yes.
And it makes a massive difference to the boat speed.
So even at Henley, where the water's never warm, but it can be warmer from one year to another, that will make a difference.
That will make a difference to the times. I mean, much more than people realise. Obviously, the headwind is the biggest impact, but water temperature can make a big difference.
So, good performance from Leander here. As you can start to hear the volume in the background, the bank's always getting busier and busier throughout the morning. They're heading for the enclosures. You can see at the top of the picture there. That's where the real atmosphere is at this Henley Royal Regatta. The crowds will be heard, and particularly for Leander, they'll have lots of local supporters here.
And it's a quick race today, 3:17 the time there to 40. You can see yesterday both crews were in the 20s. It's a much faster race today than yesterday.
And that'll be partly or a little bit because of the conditions, or partly because the boats need to dig in deeper and perform to a higher level to get through a semi-final than a round 3.
I think it would have been a bit of both, exactly.
Yeah.
The crews will definitely be a bit more focused. Particularly Leander yesterday, they knew they had quite an easy race yesterday. Today they would have definitely known they're up against a better caliber crew.
There is the Leander boat that we mentioned, Keating, Cartwright, Costley and Kleshnev. There'll be a future Olympian or two in that boat, I reckon.
Yeah, they'll be gagging for everybody to get back to Caversham and start training again for the next cycle. It's only 3 years to Paris, it's not much time now.
No, in terms of Olympic cycles, that's going to go very quickly. And just Leander boat. It's a marker, presumably. If you have this on the CV, if you get it right tomorrow in a final in the Prince of Wales, for instance, then people will sit up and take note, I'm guessing, down the water in Caversham.
100%. And you know, the sculling team is a strong team. We've got the medal in the quad in Tokyo, and Jack Beaumont, who's in that quad, is actually, like you said, with this Olympic Blues thing, he's out here now racing as Maidenhead for his old club.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
So making the leap from Leander up to Caversham to be part of the GB setup, post some good times, get into some open trials.
Yeah, you need to go through a bit. Again, the boards being swept clean, there'll be a selection process starting in the winter, and you have to do all the physical ergo tests and then do small boats trials and work your way into the system.
Well, Leander in this particular race are working their way into a final at Henley Royal Regatta tomorrow. Tideway Scullers School haven't been able to stay the pace with Leander Club. So Leander over the line and into the final of the Prince of Wales tomorrow. They'll meet either Bath University or Twickenham Rowing Club and Queen's University. That final will be decided at midday. Who goes into match up with Leander in the final tomorrow, that other semi-final at midday. And there are Leander Club, the winners of the semi-final.